So we are launching now on a new canto, Canto 4 of the first book. The title is The Secret Knowledge. Well, actually, this is a long prelude to what we are going to have in Canto 5. Rather, you can say that Canto 4 and Canto 5 form one single theme, the spirit's freedom. We have seen so far the soul's release from ignorance, but the spirit is still tied to the bondage of nature. And unless the bondage of nature is removed, you don't have real freedom at all. Now, in the context of this bondage of nature, the spirit bound by nature, limited by nature, what is involved is this one, the secret knowledge, the relationship between the spirit and nature tied together, you see, in that measure. Now, so with that knowledge then, you do whatever is required yogically to make your spirit free of nature. So in that sense, we can say that Canto 4 and Canto 5 form one single theme connected with the freedom of the spirit, you see. Now, before we go, let me just give you some idea about what is involved in this canto. See, this canto is a very long canto. It's a very long canto. There are in all 8 sections. Section 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 8 sections are present in this canto. And the total number of lines, total number of sentences are as follows. In fact, I got section-wise also the breakup, but I will just give you here the total breakup of the whole canto from section 10 to section 17, 8 sections. There are in all 214 sentences. It's a long canto, 214 sentences, 963 lines. One of the longest cantos in Savitri, 963 lines. Now, the average number of syllables per line is 10.83. Well, it is a pentametric verses, so normally there should be 10 syllables in a line. So, the average number of syllables is 10.83, and the number of lines per sentence is 4.5. Number of lines per sentence is 4.5 in the entire range, you see. And the number of words per line is 7.75. 7.75 words or 10.83 syllables in a line. And the total number of, the number of words per sentence. See, normally, generally, on the average, there are 4 lines per sentence. So, the number of words in a sentence is 34.88. It's a long one, you see. So, basically, it is a heavily loaded canto in terms of lines. The sentences are long and they are quite heavily loaded, you see, compared with what we had in the other places, you see. The canto opens with a wonderful line. On a height he stood that looked towards greater heights. Well, it's a very simple line. There is nothing complicated in this line. But spiritually it is a charged line. On a height he stood that looked towards greater height. Well, one can understand that there is There are mountain ranges, one above, peaks climbing up. You are on one cliff, you see beyond. You are climbing another peak, you see beyond. That is the kind of an image I got here. He stood that looked towards greater heights. Now, what is that height on which he was standing? What is that height on which he is standing? And from that is, what are the greater heights he is seeing? What is the height on which he is standing, and what are the greater heights he is seeing beyond? That is what it means basically. Now, obviously, on a height he stood. We have seen in the previous canto that Ashwapati has entered from the mental into the spiritual world, into the spiritual realm, and he has got all the faculties of the spiritual opened out to him. Perception, intuition, inspiration, revelation, over-mind knowledge, all that thing is a part of ignorance. And when from the mental he has gone into the spiritual, those spiritual faculties have opened out. So the highest of the spiritual faculty, it is on that he is standing. That height is the highest. Now that highest height of the spiritual, we have seen here, he sees the golden over mind. Golden over mind. In fact, ignorance stretches all the way from below, subconscious, to the over mind part. So he is standing on a height corresponding to the over mind height. So on a height, when he says on a height, it means that he is standing somewhere there on the over mind plane. And now from the over mind, he is seeing beyond. He is seeing beyond into the transcendental regions, into the Gnostic world, into the spiritual knowledge is over. Now he has to get the transcendental knowledge. He has to see something beyond that now. So these greater heights correspond to those heights which reach into the transcendental. Starting with Satchidananda, starting with supermind. Starting with supermind, you see. Supermind is the first thing, then you have got Sat, Chit, Ananda. All those realms, all those greater heights of Satchidananda is what he is going to see. Look from the height of sober mind to heights greater than that, you see. That is what this line means. It means, in terms of his spiritual realization, he has now attained all the siddhis of the overmind, and now he is stepping into the transcendental region and getting the siddhis of the Satchidananda type, is supermind, you see. So the first height which we will see is, of course, supermind. After supermind, then there will be Satchit Anand, Satyam Rutam Brahat, as the Vedic Rishi says. Those are the heights which are climbing up beyond that thing. So this line is a great line in that sense. On a height he stood that looked towards greater heights, you see. Now, that reminds me also of what we have as a phrase in the Rigveda. The Rigveda constantly speaks of the ascending slopes of heaven. Ascending slopes of heaven. Ascending slopes of heaven. Satyam, Rutam, Brahad. These are the ascending slopes. You are climbing up still in the domain of light, in the domain of illumination, of knowledge. You are still climbing, ascending slope. So, the greater heights would correspond to, therefore, the Rigvedic ascending slopes of heaven. That is what the greater heights would mean, you see. So that is the little background of this line. On a height he stood that looked towards greater height. What a beautiful line also metrically, you see. Metrically you can scan it. On a height is 1 foot. On a height it is an anapes. He stood. I am. That looked. Another I am. Towards. Fourth I am. Towards great anapest. And then greater heights I am. So you have got on a height, he stood, that looked towards greater height. You see. That is how the rhythm goes, towards greater height. You see. So the line is metrically very beautiful line also. It is also climbing up. Short, long, short, long, short, long, it is kind of climbing up like that, you see, constantly, you see that line. On a height he stood that looked towards greater height. What a metrically beautiful line this one, you see. So the inspiration also brings out the contents of the line, metrically, you see. Now, there is a little beautiful thing also about this line. See, you could have said also, on a height he stood that looked. Okay. He stood on a height that looked. that would also pass. He stood on a height that looked towards greater height. Well, that is perfectly metrically possible. And the meaning is also retained, intact. The meaning is also retained without any change at all in that thing. But then there is a difference. On a height he stood, and he stood on a height. See, there is a little kind of a jug there, you see. So, a greater poet will use, on a height he stood. A lesser poet will use, he stood on a height. A lesser poet will say, he stood on a height that looked towards greater height, you see. So, see, the art of poetry is what you have to also understand and appreciate when you are looking into Savitri, the verses of Savitri. That's the art of poetry, you see, very beautiful. On a height he stood. See, on a height, when you start with on a height, it means that the stress, the emphasis, the significance lies with height. On a height he stood. But when you start with he stood on a height, the emphasis goes on he. The emphasis will go on he, you see. He stood. Well, I mean, you are kind of making him prominent, more prominent. He stood on a height. Height is sort of subsidiary. But when you are saying on a height he stood, now the entire prominence of height is brought into expression here, you see. Into expression. So that's a part of the poetic art, you see. So there is a difference between on a height and on a height he stood and he stood on a height, both meaning and emphasis and all that thing. Our early approaches to the infinite are sunrise splendors on a marvelous verge, while lingers yet unseen the glorious sun, supermind, the sun of knowledge. He is not yet there. While lingers yet unseen, yes, he has climbed up all the way up to our mind. But the supramental sun is still unseen. The glorious sun is still unseen in his case, you see. And therefore, what are our early approaches? All that he has done so far, the spiritual experiences which he had got of knowledge, perception, intuition, inspiration, revelation, all those things, they are but early approaches to the infinite. Early, why? They are just stepped out from the mental and come into the spiritual, but they are not transcendental yet. Therefore, they are early approaches. That is a necessary step. You have to leave behind the mental and step into the spiritual, then only you can go high up, you see. So that is why early approaches to the infinite. See, metrically again, this line is also beautiful. Sunrise splendor, they are only sunrise splendor, early approaches, morning, or spiritual dawning, on a marvelous verge, while lingers yet unseen, the glorious sun. What now we see is a shadow of what must come. What now we see is a shadow of what must come. By the way, this canto, the secret knowledge, whole canto, all these 960, about 1,000 lines of this one, Shraddhavan calls it Shriyabindu Upanishad, this whole canto. She calls it Shriyabindu's Upanishad. the secret knowledge about the spirit and nature, how they are tied together, that kind of metaphysical content which is there of an Upanishadic quality, she calls it Shriyabandhu Upanishad, the whole Canto you see. I think it's a good phrase, it's a good description as Shriyabandhu's Upanishad, you see, the secret knowledge. So what we are doing now is, at the moment, Shriyabandhu's Upanishad, you see. The contents are of the Upanishadic kind, where you have got the spiritual metaphysical discussions of things. Spiritual metaphysical discussions of things. That is what the Upanishads do normally, you see. Our early approaches to the infinite, sunrise paint us on a marvelous world, while leaving us yet unseen the glorious sun. Well, glorious sun is, of course, as I said, the supermind, you see. There cannot be anything more than that. What now we see is a shadow of what must come. Yes. All that thing is in the overmind world is nothing but a shadow of the Supreme Light. It is that which must come and establish itself here, you see. We are living in a shadow world. Shadow of what? Shadow cast by that glorious sun. It is the shadow of that glorious sun over mind. When out now we see, so all the entire creation, all the way up to our mind, even the worlds of the gods, they come under this shadow. They come under this shadow, you see. What now we see is a shadow of what must come. See, this line also, what now we see is a shadow of what must come. Metrically, it's a very beautiful line. What now, I will almost call this thing as a spontaneous. What now we see, is a shadow, anapist. Of what? An anapist. Must come, again a spontaneous. What must come. What now we see is a shadow of what must come. Normally, you don't lay stress, but the contents of the line demand what now, what need not carry the stress, but here it is required also. What now? We are emphasizing something. It's not what now, it is what now, you see. We see is a shadow what must come, you see. That stress is there on both parts, you see. So that's a very beautiful line. In fact, I will say this line is essentially a rhetorical line. It is a rhetorical line. It is trying to forcefully put some higher fact in a forceful manner. What now we see is a shadow of what comes. He is stressing something rhetorically, you see. And therefore, what now, etc., carry stress, carry load. The earth's uplook to remote unknown. What now we see. Now the example of what now we see, earth's uplook. The earth is looking upward. To a remote unknown, which must come, is a preface only of the epic climb. What earth is saying is only a preface of the epic climb. This is the beginning. This is just an introduction. Epic climb, again, towards greater heights. Greater heights and epic climb go together. Epic climb. And epic climb, greater height, ascending slopes of heaven, they all go together. Epic climb, you see. Climb, it is a difficult task also to reach those heights, you see. Climb of human soul from its flat earthly state. Flat earthly. Earth is not flat, but its state is flat. Human flat earthly state to the discovery of a greater self. That is what must come. What must come? Greater self, discovery of greater self, and a far gleam of an eternal light. These are the things that must come. So Earth's uplook is looking for the eternal light, is looking for a greater self. This world is a beginning and a base. Yeah, well, whatever has to happen here in this world here of course stands for earth. Earth is the place where these things have to happen. This world is a beginning and a base for spiritual evolution. Earth is a place. Earth is a significant center. It is on earth that things will evolve further. What must come, it is here on earth that will happen. It is not going to happen elsewhere at all, you see. Where life and mind erect their structured dreams. Yes, it is in this world, life and mind have already made their dreams here. Life's place there, mind's place there, and unknown power must build reality. What life and mind do not have, that reality, they are only dreams of reality. What this world has presently are life and mind, but they are only dreams. They are not the reality proper by this. They are the dreams of reality. But an unknown power, unborn power, must build reality. An unborn power must build reality. Now, so in other words, that reality cannot be really built by life and mind on the basis of the earth. There has to be something else, something greater than them, earth and than life and mind for building up that reality. What is that unborn power? Well, one can always say the Supreme Consciousness Force who must come here. But in the immediate context, I will say you have life, you have mind. What must come now is supermind. So I will rather say that this unborn power is supermind. I will rather equate this unborn power to supermind. Supermind has to descend. Supermind has to, so to say, take birth here. Then only that reality can be built. The foundation of the reality is in supermind. So that unborn power, the supermind, must come. Yes, life has come. Yes, mind has come. But what they are doing is, they are only building up dreams of supermind. You have to go beyond. So the supermind proper must come and build that reality. This world is a beginning and a base where life and mind erect a structured dream, and unborn power must build reality. A death-bound littleness is not all we are. Now he is summarizing the present state in which we are. That earthly state, that flat earthly state. He is summarizing the state in which we are. A death-bound littleness is not all we are. Yes, we are more than that. There is something which is beyond death, which cannot be bound by death at all, you see, in us. Littleness is not all we are. Immortal, our forgotten vastnesses await discovery in our summit self, in our topmost self. They are awaiting the unmeasured breadths and depths of being. Unmeasured breadths and depths of being are ours, and we are not aware of them. Unmeasured breadths and depths of being are ours. All that means is the unborn reality is going to build those measured breadths and depths which are ours here. That is the task of the unborn power to come here. Unmeasured breadths and depths, limitless, are ours. Akin to the ineffable secrecy, mystic, eternal, unrealized time, neighbors of heaven are nature's altitude. Neighbors of heaven are nature's altitude. They have to join together. See, heaven and nature, spirit and nature, they have to now work together if you wanted. Akin to ineffable secrecy, there is a secrecy, mystic, eternal, in unrealized time. The time has to realize that unity. Neighbors of heaven are altitude. To these high-peaked dominions, sealed to ourselves, to the high-peaked dominion, sealed to ourselves. Yes, we cannot, we have no access to those dominions at all. They are sealed. They are kind of inaccessible to us. Too far from surface nature's postal routes. The way the nature works here routinely and all that thing, those dominions cannot be reached by nature's roots. Too lofty for mortal eyes to breathe. Deep in us, a forgotten kinship point and a faint voice of ecstasy and prayer calls to those lucent, lost immensities. Calls to those lucent, lost immensities. There is something in us. To these high-peaked dominions, high-peaked, those realms which have to be here, those things which have to be built here, those high-peaked dominions. It is a self-determining nation. Dominion is a state with its own power of self-determination. That is, see, the example is in the old British Empire, there was Australia, there was South Africa, there was Canada. They were having dominion status. They were dominion nations. Means they could determine their own destinies and all that. Although they were a part of the British Empire, they had a dominion status. South Africa, Australia and Canada. India was, of course, a part of British Empire itself, you see, at the time. So, that means dominion means what? There is a self-determination possible here. Those high-peaked dominions sealed to ourselves. Yes, they are part of some other empire, but there is a self-determination possible in those dominion states. As it was the example of British Empire and these dominion states. Actually, historically speaking, in 1942, when the Cripps mission came to India with an offer of dominion status to India, he came with the offer of a dominion status to India. In other words, India was practically free. It had a dominion status as Canada, Australia or South Africa. See. It was practically independent state country. It could determine its own fate, you see. The Cripps mission had come here with the offer of a dominion status in return for cooperation from India in the World War II. So that was the proposal at that time. And Shendu immediately sent his envoy to Delhi. He went out of the way in 1942. He went out of the way and he sent Doraiswamy to Delhi, pleading to accept Cripps mission. Pleading to accept Cripps mission. And he says that that mission is coming on the wings of glory. Accept it. Wings of glory, wings of triumph. Cripps mission is it. He pleaded specifically for, he sent all, he never goes into these political matters at all, but he spent specifically in that context, Doraiswamy to Delhi, to talk to all the leaders there in Delhi and tell them, please accept dominion, this mission of Cripps mission. But then Mahatma Gandhi rejected it. He rejected it, saying that it is like a post-dated check on a bank which is crashing. That is, it is a post-dated check on a bank which is crashing. You cannot really crash that bank check at all. And he rejected that thing. Not only that, he said, what does he know? He is sitting in a remote corner, he does not know anything of politics, And what is the talk of dominion status and all that? He is talking about shave and receive. They rejected Kris mission. And when the news came back, the mother said, now India will have enormous difficulties. Enormous difficulties. It had come on the wings of inspiration. Kris mission had come on the wings of inspiration. Now India will have difficulties. The dominion status of India at that time was without partition. It was a united India at that time in 1942, without partition, you see. And then, when it was rejected, then all those things happened, partition, and now can still see the consequences of that thing, you see. So, such a crucial moment was there in the history of India. Dominion status coming on the wings of inspiration, and terrible India rejected it, you see. Although there is somebody who has the full knowledge of everything and is telling us. So, to these high dominion, to these high peaked dominions, still to our search. So, that is the dominion status, you see. You have full independence there to do what they under the empire. Too lofty. She must also say that today Britain is giving you dominion status. Accept it. It is in the nature of British character not to give anything immediately, everything. They will give bit by bit, bit by bit. Today they will give dominion status. Tomorrow they will give full independence. You accept it as a strategic move, as a pragmatic step. Accept it and proceed further. It was not. And the pity. To these high-peaked dominions, sealed to our children, too far from surface nature's postal rules. So, ordinary common thing. Of course, now we don't have postal routes. We have emails. We have got instant voice communication and all that kind of thing, you see. Anywhere, from any corner of the world to any other corner of the world, there are no postal routes, you see. From surface nature's postal rule, too lofty. Yeah, you can imagine postal rules, you see. I mean, this is a typical Victorian simile, a Victorian age in which you are describing. Earlier than that, before Victorian age, you had these mails, horse carriers taking your mail from place to place, you see, like that, in a small country. Too far from our surface nature's postal rule, too lofty for our mortal lives to breathe. Deep in us, a forgotten kinship points. Yeah, there is a relationship between what we are and what that we are. But that is forgotten. We are not aware of it. We are not in contact with it. And a faint voice of ecstasy and prayer calls to those lucent, lost immensity. So what we have got here? Only a faint voice of ecstasy and prayer. We have only a faint voice of ecstasy and prayer. Calls to those lucent, lost immensity. They are not within they were our possession, but we are not now with us, you see. Even when we fall to look into our souls or lie embedded in earthly consciousness, still have we parts that grow towards the light. Yes, we might be doing very ordinary routine kind of thing, but there is something within us which is always having an urge towards light, towards beauty, towards joy, towards power, towards knowledge. That urge is always there in us. There is something deeply inside man. He is in search of beauty. He is in search of knowledge. There is a quest, element of quest is there always in him. That is what man is actually. Still, we have part that grow towards the light, yet are there luminous tracts and havens serene, and Eldorados of splendor and ecstasy. Eldorados of splendor and ecstasy, and temples to the Godhead none can see. Eldorados, well, that is the land which was discovered by the Spanish conquerors in South America, you see, land full of gold and treasures, and they call it El Dorado of gold or treasure, El Dorado. That is what the Spanish word is. A splendor and ecstasy. But this is the El Dorado, a splendor and ecstasy. A spiritual treasures, spiritual preciousness. That is what we have got here in El Dorado. Yet there are luminous tracts and heavens serene, and El Dorado, the splendor and ecstasy, and temples to the Godhead none can see. Yes, we have got Matri Mandir, but we really don't see the real Matri Mandir which is there behind it. Physically, structurally it is there, but there is the occult Matri Mandir, the luminous Matri Mandir, living dynamic power which is there. We are not in contact with that, you see. And temples to the Godhead none can see. That is what we don't see at all, you see. El Dorados, well, there is an unnecessary quarrel about this word El Dorados. In the revised edition, you don't have this E. It is El Dorados. Now, we don't know whether El Dorado without E is a proposed correction by the editors of the revised edition, or whether E is not really present in the manuscript. If E is not present in the manuscript at all, then one starts asking the question, where did this E come in the course of all that thing you see? So that is a conflict, we don't know, unless we see the manuscripts, we have got the access to manuscript. And El Dorado, the splendor and ecstasy, but it's a small matter, you see. And temple to the God. You see, in English, you have to put E for El Dorado as a plural, you see. Mangoes, O-E-E-S. You know, you don't simply say mango, mangoes, E-E-S. Flamingos. See, you have to put E-E-S like that, you see. El Dorados, you see. This way. And temple to the Godhead, none can see. By the way, it means that El Dorado is a plural, is a total invention of Sri Aurobindo. It does not exist at all anywhere in the literature as a plural. A shapeless memory lingers in us still, and sometimes when our sight is turned within, what a rare moment it can happen. Normally it doesn't turn at all within, you see. But sometimes it can happen, it's a rare moment. Sometimes when our sight is turned within, us ignorant veil is lifted from our eyes. When the sight is turned within, then the veil is removed. There is a short, miraculous escape. There is a short, miraculous escape from what we are, from us ignorance, from the veil. There is an escape from that at that point, you see. A shapeless memory lingers in us still. Now, shapeless memory. Shapeless means which has no definite shape, indistinct. Indistinct memory. Lingers in us still. Now, that indistinct memory, what is that memory? Where from can that come? That indistinct memory, shapeless memory. Memory, I don't think this is exactly the psychic memory. This is not really the psychic memory, because psychic memory will not be that vague, that indistinct, that shapeless, you see. There is a definiteness in psychic memory. And he says it is sometimes, etc. So it is not really psychic in that sense, you see. It is our external memory of our nature. That is why it is indistinct. See this line, a shapeless memory lingers in a still. Something is there. See, you have grown up, but then you still remember old things. What happened 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you got vague, general kind of an idea how the things had happened, taken place at that time. You have a vague, indistinct memory of those events also. Say. That is the same. That is not psychic memory. That is your physical memory itself. Your a memory of your present existence itself, you see. It's not psychic memory at all. That yes, I studied this subject in this class this year. Now that is memory, you see. No, that is not a psychic memory at all, you see. That is memory of the brain. What is stored in my physical brain, you see. That comes out, you see. A shapeless memory. Now, of course, I can also say, a shapeless memory lingers in a still. You can say instead of shapeless, you can say, an indistinct memory lingers in a still. An indistinct memory lingers in a still. Symmetrically, it can still pass. An indistinct memory lingers in a still. It can pass. But shapeless has some of a different quality than indistinct memory. See. I would say a vague memory also will not do. It has to be shapeless memory. It is neither vague memory nor it is indistinct memory. It has to be shapeless memory. From the point of view of the rhythm and movement. A shapeless memory, and of course, shapeless, that L alliteration is here, L, L, L. That gives some kind of a beauty to the line, you see. A shapeless memory lingers in a still. And sometimes when our sight is turned within, sometimes when our sight is turned within, our ignorant veil is lifted from our eyes. There is a short, miraculous escape. This narrow fringe of clamped experience we leave behind, meted to us as life. Yes, this experience is given to us, is measured out to us. That we leave behind. When? When sometime we escape the present state. There is a short, miraculous escape. When the short miracle is explained, then this can happen. This narrow fringe of clamped experience, which is measured out to us as life, that we leave behind. Our little walks, our insufficient reach, all those things are left behind. Our souls can visit in great, lonely, above, still visions of imperishable light, all-seeing eagle peace of silent power, and mournful emotions of such fathomless pleasure, and calm the medicine of spirit space. What a sentence this one. You can suddenly see it's a different poetry altogether. It's a different poetry altogether. This narrow fringe of clamped experience we leave behind midday to others' life, our little walk, our insufficiency. It is a kind of descriptive poetry. But the moment you come here, our souls can visit in great, lonely hour, still regions of imperishable light, all-seeing eagle peace of silent power, and mournful emotions of fathomless place, and calm the necessities of spirit space. It is a different poetry altogether, you see. The rhythm is different, the power is different, the measurements are different, you see. You can see the difference between this sentence and this sentence. You can see. In fact, the earlier descriptions also. Suddenly, the poetry has risen to a different level altogether. In soul presence. Our souls can visit in great, lonely hour, still regions of imperishable light, still regions of imperishable light. That is purely spiritual. All-seeing eagle peaks of silent power. All-seeing eagle peaks of silent power. That is occult, surrealistic. All-seeing eagle peaks of silent power, and moon flame oceans of space fathomless bliss. Again, occult and surrealistic. Our souls can visit in great lonely hour. That is spiritual descriptive. Still regions of imperishable light, absolutely spiritual line, you see. all-seeing eagle with silent power, and moon flame oceans of swift fathomless bliss, and calm immensity, the spirit to space, and calm immensity, the spirit space. Suddenly it has become more spiritual, you see this line. Calm immensity, the spirit space. So you can see these two lines are of a different quality. All see eagle peaks of silent power, and moon flame oceans of split fathomless. They're charged, they're dense, they're occult, they're surrealistic, absolutely. And calm, and this line, still regions of imperishable light, and calm immensity of spiritual space, they are purely spiritual lines. There is more of occult contents in this, and in these two lines, this line and this line, this line, there is more of spiritual content in that, you see. So even in this one sentence, the poetic inspiration can come from different places, you see. This is spiritual, this is occult, surrealistic. And the density, all-seeing eagle peaks, the compound, all-seeing and eagle peaks, the compound are so forceful, so solid. Moon flame, another compound, very solid, you see. Our souls can visit in great lonely hour, all still regions of imperishable light, all seeing eagle peaks of silent power, and moon flame oceans of swift fathomless bliss, and calm immensity, the spirit space. It's a very beautiful line. This is moon flame F. The iteration of F is very beautiful here. And moon flame oceans of swift fathomless bliss. See, it has to be swift here. It can't be any other adjective. It has to be swift. It cannot be rapid. It cannot be hasty. It has to be swift. And moon flame oceans of swift fathomless bliss. Moon flame. Now you can imagine yourself what that moon flame is. It is the intensity of Ananda. Moon stands for Ananda. So much joy, delight, that is what the moon stands for. Ananda, delight, joy. Soma, that is the word in Sanskrit. Moon, Soma. Moon flame, intensity, flaming, bright, intense. Oceans of bliss. So that is the character of moon of bliss. All seeing eagle peaks, the silent power, eagle peak. All seeing from that peak, you see everything. The whole panorama is visible to you. Eagle is a bird with the strongest wings, and it is a bird which can fly at the highest height. See, our sparrows and crows and little birds, parrots, they'll fly here. Then there will be other kind of bird. There will be other kind of bird. Ramayana describes 7 types of birds, starting from sparrows to eagle, to vultures. And the vulture says, I belong to that category which flies at the highest level, at the highest height. See, the episode in Ramayana is Sita has been abducted by Ravana, and now Rama is on the way to find out where she has gone and all that thing, you see. Then he meets Hanuman, Sugriva, and many other people like that. And then he goes to a place, Hanuman goes to a place where he meets a bird called Sampati. Sampati is the brother of Garuda who was killed by Ravana when he was trying to snatch him back, you see. So Ravana had killed Garuda, you see. Sampati is his brother. So Hanuman tells Sampati about the entire episode, what had happened. And then Sampati, he belongs to the category of vultures, eagle. Garuda, you see, eagle. He says that I belong to that category of birds which fly at the highest level. And from that, my eyes are so sharp, I can see far distances. Silent peaks, all seeing. I can see far distances from that height. And with my eyes, I see that Sita is in the Ashokavana in Lanka. I am climbing up on such a height. From there, I can spot Sita there, and have noticed that she is there. And therefore, the path is known now to Hanuman how to proceed further, you see. So, Sampati has spotted Sita with his eyes, and he is telling him now, okay, you proceed with your work, you see. Hanuman goes there, you see. So, all seeing, so that is the quality of the eagle or the bird, you see. Still regions of imperishable light, all seeing eagle peaks. So that is the eagle peak, wherefrom you can see every dominion, every world. So Shivan has utilized it very powerfully, that you have now a spiritual sight by which you can see everything in creation. Our souls can visit in great lonely hours, still regions of imperishable light, all seeing eagle peaks of silent power, and moon flame ocean of swift fathomless bliss, and calm immensity of spirit space. What a sentence, you see. Absolutely no. Yeah. In the unfolding process of the self, now this is what is happening. In the unfolding process of the self, he has described experiences, now he is describing some details of that experience. In the unfolding process of the self, sometimes the inexpressible mystery elects a human vessel of descent. The inexpressible mystery, because she is a mystery, not only mystery, she is inexpressible. How she does it, in what manner she does it, what for she does it, that remains a mystery to us. We can't speak of that at all, you see. Sometimes that mystery elects a human vessel of descent. Now, what is that vessel, that human vessel? In the unfolding process of the self, great personalities come, and they really take the evolution forward in a very decisive manner. Very decisive manner. There are beings, there are rishis, there are great prophets. On them, there is a descent from the highest source possible. And when they do something, then in the process of the self, something different happens. They have selected a person, and in them, in the prophet, in the rishi, in what we may call vibhuti, avatar, when that descent takes place, then he starts changing. Unfolding process of the self. Sometimes the inexpressible mystery elects a human, chooses a human. Why Moses come? Why this man come? Christ. Why they come? They are the vessels at that moment. Elect a human vessel of descent. A breath comes down from the supernal air. That is the descent. A presence is born. A guiding light away. Chaitanya, Vivekananda. They are great people. They have changed this destiny of nations, destiny of man, completely. A breath comes down from the supernal air. A presence is born. A guiding light away. A stillness falls upon the instrument. Fixed sometimes like a marble monument, stone calm. The body is a pedestal supporting the figure of eternal peace. Body is a pedestal supporting a figure of eternal peace. That is Buddha, Buddha's body, supporting eternal peace. It is there that the descent has taken place, has chosen, has elected that person for descent, you see. A stillness falls upon the instrument. Yes, that is what happens. A stillness falls upon the instrument. Fixed sometimes like a marble monument. Stone calm. Yeah, you see the statue of Buddha in the caves, huge, big, massive statue, you see. You really feel the whole place filled up with peace. Bright, luminous peace, solid peace like the statue itself, you see, completely. A body is a pedestal supporting a figure of eternal peace. It can bear that eternal peace, you see, in that person. Or either that happens, or a revealing force space blazing in out of some vast superior continent. Knowledge breaks through, telling its radiance to see, and nature trembles to the power, the flame. So either you have a person of peace, or you have an active force working here, see. Dynamic force working here, see. In the great moments of history, it is that force which works, you see. A greater personality sometimes possesses us, which yet we know is ours. Possesses us, that greater personality is ours, you know. Or we adore the master of our soul. Yes, suddenly we admire him and worship him and offer obeisance. Then the small bodily ego thins and falls. When you see such a person, such a descent taking place in a ready vessel, then the bodily ego thins and falls. It is that disappearance. No more insisting on his separate self. Bodily ego does not say, I, separate, independent of himself. No more insisting on his separate self, losing the punctilio of its separate birth. It lives as one with nature and with God. When that ego has disappeared, has gone away, then we are left one with nature and with God. That ego has gone. Losing the punctilio. See, punctilio has a little history also. In Spanish and Italian social systems, a punctilio is a self-conscious noble, self-conscious lord. Yes, I am something. I want to protect my dignity. I want to protect my prestige. That is the punctilio, you see. I want to protect my dignity, my punctilio. Punctilio also means punctum, means stop. Small point. Small point. Punctuation comes from that. Punctum. Small point. After all, what is ego? It is a small point. When that loses its existence, then lives as one with nature and God. We are one with nature and God. When that ego is not present there, it is at that point this happens, you see. Then the small bodily ego thins and falls. When we adore the Master, then the ego falls. No more insisting on his separate self, that punctilio, I am of a noble character, this thing, that insistence is not there now in him, you see. The punctilio of the separate birth, the point of separate birth. I am something special. Separate here means a kind of a special birth. I am something unique. See. It lives as one with nature and with God. When that ego has gone away, in moments the inner lamps are lit, in moments the inner lamps are lit, and life's cherished guests are lit outside. Our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gown, to its depths, our spirit sits alone. When that ego is not there, when the inner lamp is lit, the ego is not there. The inner lamps are lit, then life's cherished guests are left outside. Who are the life's cherished guests? We cherish them. Life's guests. Who are our life's guests? We entertain them, we feed them, we nourish them also. Ambition, lust, greed, rivalry. These are our cherished guests, you see. Kama, Krodha, Mala, Moha, Matsara, what we call Shadripu, 6 sins, ambitions of the vital. All those things are there. They are our cherished guests. We cherish them, we entertain them. Power, lust, greed, they are our cherished guests, you see. But when these guests are left outside, in moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its come. Yes, now he is not disturbed at all by these guests. He sits alone there and he speaks to his skull, to his depth, to his energy. A wider consciousness opens than his door. Well, the guests have gone away, the ego is no more there, then only the wider consciousness can come. The wider consciousness can come only then, when the ego is no more there, when the guests are left. Open then its door, invading from spiritual silences, a ray of the timeless glory stoops a while, for a short while, that glory, that ray comes here, to commune with our seized, illumined clay. Our clay is illumined, it is seized. Come to talk with them, to get in contact, and leave this huge white stamp upon our life. So when the guests have left, when the ego is no more there, then the wider consciousness invades us and it leaves its stamp on us. And leave this huge, it of course stands for wider consciousness. It stands for wider consciousness. She is illumined clay, a ray of life, timeless glory. A ray of timeless glory stoops a while, for a short while. So life's cherished guests have to live, see. Then only that can happen. In the oblivious field of mortal mind, revealed in the closed prophet eyes of trance, or in some deep internal solitude, witnessed by strange immaterial sense, the signals of eternity appear. So now you start getting signals, indications from eternity. In the oblivious field of mortal mind is an oblivious field, revealed to the closed prophet eyes of trance. The eyes of trance are closed, to him is revealed, or in some deep internal solitude, either in this state or in the state of internal solitude, witnessed by strange immaterial sense. Who is witnessing that internal time? Immaterial sense. It is that. The signals of eternity appear. So either in internal solitude or in the closed prophet eyes, those signals of eternity come. We have to be open to them. Now those signals of eternity can be received, can be discerned, can be retained, accepted only when we have removed away our ego and our guests are no more present there. Then only it can happen. Otherwise they will come and intrude and they will snatch away all those things that are coming here. So that's the condition. In other words, it is a process of a kind of a purification. You have to purify yourself. Purification means remove your ego, remove all those elements which are obstructing your spiritual progress. Then only you can go further. What Sri Aurobindo described in that little book, The Mother, all the elements which are coming, rejection. The whole description of those rejections, you see, or the mental, or the vital, or the physical, they have to be rejected. When those cherished guests have gone away, then the signals of eternity can come. And the signals will tell you now this, etc. You see, the signals of eternity appear. The truth mind could not know, unveils its face. Obviously, mind cannot know that kind of a truth at all. The truth mind could not know, unveils its face of truth. We hear what mortal ears have never heard. These are the signals. We hear what the mortal ears have never heard. The truth mind could not know. That is the signal. Unveils its face. So he is giving the examples of signals here. The truth mind could not know. We hear what the mortal ears have never heard. We feel what earthly sense has never felt. These are the signals. We love what common hearts repel and dread. Our minds hush to a bright, omniscient. What a line. So he has given the examples of signals. Truth, hear, feel, love. Our minds hush to a bright, omniscient. What a marvelous line this one. Our minds hush to a bright, omniscient. Mind falls silent to a bright, omniscient. The signals are received, the mind falls silent under this condition, you see. Mind hush to a bright, omniscient. Now here the beauty is omniscient is an adjective. Is an adjective. He is right here, minds hush. Hush is a verb. Minds hush to omniscient. Minds hush to omniscient. So this is a very different kind of a use of an adjective as a noun here. He is using omniscient as an adjective, as a noun actually. Minds hush to omniscient. That is a plain thing. In word, mind hush to omniscient means omniscient is a noun. But actually and grammatically it is an adjective, omniscient, you see. But the grammar is saved by a bright omniscient. A bright omniscient means now omniscient is personalized. Omniscient is personalized here. Our mind hush to a bright omniscient. What a technique, you see, what poetry. We love what calmer hearts repel and dread. Our minds hush to a bright omniscient. Our mind hush to a bright omniscient. Again, we have got alliteration, hush, omniscient. We have got here mind, you have got omni. See, they are quite suggestive of the line. Our mind hush to a bright omniscient. One of the most beautiful lines in Savitri, you see. A voice calls from the chambers of the soul. When there is a silence, when the mind has fallen silent, then a voice calls from the chambers of the soul. It comes from the chambers of the soul. We meet the ecstasy of the Godhead's touch. We meet the ecstasy of the... Yes, the Godhead has come and touched us, and it is that ecstasy which we are meeting now here. A voice calls from the chambers of the soul. We meet the ecstasy of the Goddess in golden privacies of immortal fire. In golden privacy. We meet where? In golden privacies of immortal fire. When we are in lowly companionship with the fire, with the immortal, with Agni, immortal fire, Agni, the divine Agni. When we are in companion with the divine Agni, the golden Agni, then we meet the ecstasy of the Goddess touch. Spiritually, it's a very high poetry also, you see. Our minds hush to a bright omniscient. Okay, then a voice calls from the chambers of the soul. We meet the ecstasy of the Goddess touch. In golden privacies of immortal fire. Golden privacies of immortal fire. These signs, so these are the signs he has described. These signs are native to a larger self that lives within us by ourselves unseen. Yeah, they are there within us, but we are not aware of them. That lives within us by ourselves unseen. Only sometimes a holier influence comes. A tide of mightier surging bears our life, and a diviner presence moves the soul, and a diviner presence moves the soul. Or through the earthly coverings, something breaks. Yeah, there are all these sheets are there, one about the other, one around the other. All through the earthly sheet covering, something breaks. A grace and beauty, a spiritual light. These earthly coverings are removed, and there is grace and beauty of spiritual light entering. The murmuring tongue of a celestial fire, the murmuring tongue of a celestial fire, all through the earthly covering sometimes breaks. What breaks? Grace and beauty of spiritual light. What breaks? The murmuring tongue of celestial fire. Sometimes it happens here. When the earthly coverings are removed, then this is what happens here, see. These signs, so these are the signs which will work in this manner. How the signs work is what is described here, you see. These signs are native to a larger self that lives within us by ourselves unseen. Only sometimes a holier influence comes. A tide of mighty surgings bears our life, and a divine presence moves the soul. Or to the earthly covering something brave, a grace and beauty of spiritual light. The murmuring tongue of a celestial fire. What a line, the murmuring tongue of a celestial fire. Ourselves and a high stranger whom we feel. So that is the high stranger now, whom we feel. It is and acts unseen as if it were not. Yes? It looks as if he is not there, but he is really acting in us, you see. We don't know that the mother is acting in us. We don't know. We are such stupid people, but she is acting, you see. Ourselves in a high stranger whom we feel, it is and acts unseen as if it were not. It follows the line of sempiternal birth, endless birth. See, we are going from birth to birth, but it follows now sempiternal birth, lines of sempiternal. Yet seems to perish with its mortal frame. It looks as if with the frame of mortality gone, we are no more there. But actually it is following the line of sempiternal birth, a continuous birth, eternal birth, unending birth, sempiternal. It goes on and on, you see. It follows the line of sempiternal birth, yet seems to perish with its mortal frame. Assured the apocalypse to be, it reckons not a moment and hours. Obviously, apocalypse, the manifestation, it is assured of that thing. And therefore, the moments and hours, the transients, it does not worry at all about them. Assured the apocalypse to be, it reckons not the moment and hour. Great, patient, calm, we see the centuries pass. Yeah, it is patient. Centuries pass, all these things are happening. Great, patient, calm, we see the centuries pass, awaiting the slow miracle of our change and the sure deliberate process of world fall and the long march of all the willing time. It is assured of that thing, it is waiting for that kind of thing. It is the origin and the master clue. It is the origin and the master clue. Yes, that is the clue, that is the key. A silence overhead, an inner voice. A silence overhead, an inner voice. That is the assured key. That is the master key. A living image seated in the heart. A living image seated in the heart. An unwalled wideness and a fathomless point. The truth of all that cryptic shows is fame. The real towards which our strivings move. The secret grandiose meaning of our life. A treasure of honey in the combs of God. A treasure of honey in the combs of God. A treasure of honey in the combs of God. A splendor burning in the tenebrous gloom. It is our glory of the flame of God, our golden fountain of the world's delight, our golden fountain of the world's delight. And immortality cowed in the cape of death. the shape of our unborn divinity. It guards for us our fate in depths within. Yeah, it guards our fate is guarded within because of that. Where sleeps the eternal seed of transient thing. Always we bear in us a magic key. Yes, there is a magic key in us, actually. There is that. The soul, the psychic being there. That's a magic key. Always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope, tight, airtight, watertight, completely hermetic, you see. Also, secret, occult. Hermetic also is occult, you see. Hermetic key, always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope. A burning witness in the sanctuary, a burning witness in the sanctuary. He is there, that flame is there, that Agni is the witness. Agni is the witness. He is the Sakshi. A burning witness in the sanctuary, regarding through time and the blind walls of form. Blind wall, it sees all that thing. A timeless light is in his hidden eye. He sees the secret things no words can speak. He sees the secret things no words can speak, and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery of the journeying ear. That is what the witness knows. That is what this flame knows. That is what the key knows, you see, of transcending. It is the glory of the flame of God. You see, that is the Agni, you see, flame of God. Our golden fountain of the world's delight and immortality cowed in cave of death. He is immortality, cowed in the cave of death. The immortal in the immortal. Agni is the immortal in the immortal. That is what the Vedic Rishi says, Amartyam Mateshu. He is the immortal in the immortal. Golden fountain of the world's delight and immortality cowed in the cave of death. The shape of her unbound divinity. Yes, he is the shape of her unbound. He is the one. Agni is the worker. Agni is the traveler. He is taking us forward like that. He is working out our divinity there. It casts for us our fate in depths within. Where sleep the eternal seed of transient things. Where the things are there. Always we bear in us a magic key, that Agni, that Divya Purusha, that Chaitanya Purusha, concealed in life's hermetic universe. A burning witness in the sanctuary, regards through time and the blind walls of form. A timeless light is in his hidden eye. He sees the secret things no words can speak, and knows the goal of the unconscious. Knows the goal. Agni knows the goal of this world. Why is there? Actually, it is Agni who was sent by the gods to the mortal. It was Agni who was sent by the gods to the mortal. Go and live there and work out to see. He sees the secret thing for working out these details. No words can speak, and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery. Yes, Agni knows the mystery, the process, the whole working. He has to work out all the details now, you see. All the journey. He is the traveler. Agni is the traveler, you see.